Hi, my name is Wahiga and welcome to the Mental Wellness channel. Today I'm going to be discussing bipolar type 2 depression. But in order to understand bipolar type 2 depression, I'm going to briefly talk about what bipolar 1 looks like and what bipolar 2 looks like. And what I'm about to say are just my experiences and my opinions, so don't hold me to it medically. So, what I understand about bipolar 1 is that you have manic episodes where you can actually and get psychotic, and then you crash, and you have a brief period of time where you're depressed. However, in bipolar type 2, it actually used to be called manic depression. So you get you get to a point where you only go to hypomania. And hypomania is when you're excited and just really energetic and full of life, and you have racing thoughts, but you can't seem to stop. Your mind isn't able to stop. Your body gets tired, but your mind isn't able to stop. So you have a lot of insomnia. You won't be able to finish sentences because the thoughts are racing so fast that you can't actually articulate it. Then in bipolar 2, you have the depressive episodes, which last much, much longer than bipolar 1. And that's the category that I fit into. I'm going to give you a brief history of depression and how it started for me. So, when I was 12, something internally changed. I don't know what happened. It was certainly not anything external because I have a wonderful family. I was going to a great school. I was playing sports. I had friends. However, internally, I became suicidal and homicidal. At the same time, I was also experiencing anorexia, meaning I wasn't eating normally, and food became a control thing for me. I was teased a lot. We had just moved to South Africa, and the culture there is different. So I was teased a lot about my weight, and I decided, fine, you guys want me to be thin, that's what I'm gonna give you. And so I basically cut everything that I was eating in half. If it was two Weetabix, I was taking one, and it got to a point I was even eating skooma for lunch at school, which was another story for another time. And that mixed with the depression made it really hard for me to function when I was at home. I could function outside the house because I just put on a facade like I'm happy and I'm bubbly and all that. But inside the house, I was extremely withdrawn. I wouldn't talk to my family. I'd just stay in my room and listen to dark music and, you know, just be away from people. Now, that lasted until 17. And 17 is the age where I started drinking socially. And let me tell you, huh, alcohol relieved me of any symptoms I had. It relieved me of anxiety, it relieved me of depression, it relieved me of the everything that I was anything negative that I was feeling. And I fell in love with alcohol because it cured me. You know, alcohol did for me what no one else seemed to do for me. It made me happy, it made me warm from the inside out, it gave me confidence and courage and just able to speak the way I wanted to, no filter. And I was really, really happy drinking. But when I stopped drinking, in those intervals, because obviously I was a teenager and I couldn't drink like every day, I would get depressed, then it would be back. The depression, the anxiety. not being able to talk to my family, not being able to articulate what's going on with me. And I was also a very intense child. I was really angry. I had a lot of pent up anger. And when I left the house, I was, yeah, hi, how are you doing? Yeah, yeah, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. So I was living like a double life. Now, when the alcohol stopped working, because it always does, when the alcohol stopped working, it magnified my depression and anxiety to such a level that I was in more trouble than at the beginning when I started drinking alcohol. And so I got sober by the grace of God in 2017. And when I got sober, I expected it to be roses and rainbows and clear skies and, the sunshine is out. I'm waking up with no hangovers. I feel great. I'm starting to eat well because, before I couldn't keep down food. I was always throwing up because I was always hungover or drunk, one of the two. And I wasn't waking up sick anymore, which was great. However, the depression started to creep back in and I was really raw. So it hit me really hard. By the 10th month of my sobriety, it got so bad that I went and saw a psychologist who also works with a psychiatrist, and I was put on antidepressants. And the next 8 months were amazing. I was happy, I was free from depression, I was functional, I was able to go back to school. Things were great. Then the crash happened. I had a hypomanic state or episode for 3 days where I was very impulsive. I started unblocking people's numbers that I shouldn't have been talking to or seeing. I started going to places that I really shouldn't be going, especially being an alcoholic in recovery. And I started putting myself in dangerous situations. I had no meters. I could not think for myself, basically. My judgment was very, very shaky. And I didn't know it was a hypomanic state. I just thought I was excited and exploring new things and, letting people that I blocked back into my life. Anyways, after that, I crashed and it was horrific. It was really bad. The depression was horrible. Now, when I talk about depression, let me describe to you what I'm talking about. Depression to me feels like you're in a sea of concrete and you're going against the grain. You're going against the waves. It is exhausting. It takes out everything in you. And then it leads you to a place where you just want to die. You don't want to live anymore. You can't live anymore because of what is going on in your brain, in your body. So when I'm depressed, I tend to either sleep a lot because I just have to get through the day. I don't want to be in the day. So I sleep a lot, wake up the next day, look outside, oh gosh, it's another day, oh gosh, and then go back to bed. The most I think I'll ever do when I'm depressed in those states is take a shower. That's the most, and maybe have a cup of coffee. But it's a horrible place to be. It's debilitating. You literally can't get out. You can't get out of bed. You can't wake up and shake it off and just say I'm going to work, I'm going to school, I'm just going to do it. It doesn't work that way with depression. And basically, depression is the lack of serotonin in my brain. And so basically what happened is that we found that I am bipolar because antidepressants would have worked for just clinical depression, but it didn't. So I needed a mood stabilizer and I needed something for my anxiety. I'll do a video on anxiety, which is a whole nother thing altogether. So I started responding to the medication for bipolar type 2. And that's kind of how you get the diagnosis. Don't quote me on that. I'm not saying you should self-medicate like that. I mean, self-diagnose like that. I don't mean that at all. You need to see a psychologist, see a psychiatrist, and they should be able to come down with a diagnosis. However, it takes time. It takes a long time. I had symptoms of bipolar type 2 since I was 12, and I only got on medication at the age of 26. And it keeps changing. You get used to some medications and then it stops working. And then the hypomania comes with the inevitable crash. So it takes a while. It takes a while to get the correct cocktail of medicine. I am for medicine because it has gotten me to a place where I can function, where I can be able to do the things I need to do daily. If I did not have medication, God knows where I would be. And that's a true fact. So I am for medication. I take what I am prescribed by my doctor, and I always I always call him when symptoms are starting to come back. And that's called a mental relapse. When the symptoms are starting to come back, that's called a mental relapse. So through the depression, I have always gotten hospitalized because it's gotten to such a severe level. But hopefully this time around, I will be able to detect when I'm having a hypomanic episode and then be able to call the doctor and be like, I'm having a hypomanic episode and I need help because I don't want to crash. I don't want to go into that depression. I was actually in hospital in May due to I had 8 days of no sleep, consecutive, just no sleep. My eyes were like saucers, my brain was running a million miles an hour. I was just up and down and sideways and pacing. And yes, I got a lot of work done. I did, which is one of the benefits of having a hypomanic episode. However, I could not rest. I could not get my body or my mind to shut off. My body was so tired, yet I was up the whole night. It actually got to the point where I used to get so scared when night would come because I knew I wasn't going to sleep and everybody else in the house was going to sleep. Obviously, I crashed really badly, and I had to be hospitalized so that they could stabilize me. And from there is actually when I had the epiphany to do this channel, the mental wellness channel, because I started realizing, like, honestly, why don't we talk about this as a society? Like, I can't be the only one that's going through this. I was tired of seeing doctors. I was tired of medications, always changing medications, always going back to the doctor and saying, this doesn't work. It's just not working. Always tired of feeling the depression, always tired of being in a state of anxiety or sadness or whatever it was. And it was never good. So I said it might be cathartic actually to talk about these issues and my experiences with bipolar type 2, my experiences with substance abuse, and my experiences with recovery, because we don't talk about it and people are really, really suffering by themselves. So I just want to end the video there, and I want to thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe, please like, please share. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.